Good day and welcome to Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabere Schuster, State Director of AARP in this territory. Again, a pleasure to be with you. Civic participation by citizens is key to creating a democratic society because it creates a platform for citizens to influence policy and government priorities. This in turn leads to higher levels of trust, transparency, and changes that evoke better services that meet the needs of all community residents. Simply put, civic participation is essential to creating a more livable community. Recognizing the importance of uniting people through common goals, AARP is working to help connect skilled professionals to board roles in communities across the states. AARP in the Virgin Islands has invited attorney David Bornn, Chief Legal Counsel from the Office of the Governor, Commissions and Boards Division, to provide information on the invaluable impact of civic participation on good governance and how this is reflected in the work performed by citizens serving on boards and commissions. And so again, we welcome Attorney David Bornn. Welcome.
Well, good morning or good day, Troy. It's great to be here, and I brought my AARP card if you want to check and verify that I'm a member.
Great. Well, we appreciate your membership. We appreciate it, and we hope you find it beneficial. AARP is a great organization doing wonderful work across the country and right here in the Virgin Islands. So thank you, and thank you for always helping us too in the Office of the Governor, especially regarding our Commission on Aging.
Well, thank you, and we are really happy with the input and the support that AARP has given us in trying to bring that commission together, but all of the other elements of public participation in these boards and commissions that we are so desperately trying to fill.
Yeah. So talking about that, starting off, how many boards and commissions do we have in the Virgin Islands?
Troy, when I first got here and they handed me a big fat binder, I was really quite put off. There are at least 68 boards and commissions that are presently active. They're probably more than 100, but some of them just don't necessarily function. Uh, but they're 68 are the ones that we have to work with on a regular basis.
That's a lot. I mean, most people don't even think about that many. We hear of the few usual suspects, the hospital boards, the WAPA board, the GERS board, the ones that are always kind of in the spotlight. But 68, that's an incredible number.
And each one has 3 to 7 people on them. So, that's a lot of people we have to find.
That is a lot of people. And I've heard in some legislative hearings that some of the boards don't have enough to make quorum.
That is correct. You have some boards that not only don't have enough to make quorum, you have other boards where the members have been sitting with expired terms for a substantial period of time.
Right. And I believe that most boards, the term is 3 years. Is that correct?
It ranges from between 2 to, in some cases, 5.
Some cases 5. Wow. Yeah. And so what role does the Division on Commissions and Boards play in helping residents understand the impact of serving on local boards and commissions? So again, the Division on Commissions and Boards, what role does that play?
Right. So the division is a part of the Office of the Governor, and Legal Counsel's office tries to work with and shepherd the task person, the responsible policy administrator for this. And what we do is, first of all, try to find appropriate people. Second, we have to go through the process of vetting the people who have either been proposed or who have volunteered to come forward, or are being considered by the governor without anybody coming forward. And then Once the person is vetted, we have to go through the process of the nominations and making the nomination, getting it to the legislature, and then once the legislature is approved, then getting the person on the board. So it's a multi-step approach.
And talking about the legislature approving, I have heard from so many people uh, with regard to serving on boards and commissions that they are hesitant to go before the legislature because they're afraid of certain questions or afraid that they may be embarrassed. I know that all of our senators are wonderful people and well-intentioned. I mean, to go through the trouble of becoming a senator, you have to be well-intentioned, and I'm sure that our senators don't want to embarrass people. But how do you reply to that when people say, "I'm afraid because I might be embarrassed"?
Frankly, Troy, that is one of the major difficulties and factors in getting people to participate. I think most people understand that being on a board or commission is an important element of being a resident or a former resident in some instances we'll talk about of the Virgin Islands, and and they want to participate, but the element of how the legislature passed, it treated some of these nominees, uh, has really put a bad tinge in people's thinking. I am most happy to say that this legislature, the 34th, and Senator Potter in particular, you said, chair of the Rules Committee, we have had a new approach. And there is none of the raking over or castigating or saying unbecoming things on the floor of the committee hearing. Um, Rather, if there is a problem with somebody's background, we take care of it either in the vetting process or in the off uh, camera, the background sessions that the committee has with the nominee. So the experience of the nominee on the floor with the senators is usually a very cordial and receptive process. And I think that has done a great deal to help us continue to find people willing to go. But I know that I hear it all the time. I know that there have been many instances where people have been roughed up on the floor. Um, and as a result of that, people have just, some up to the day before their hearing will be okay. And then it hits them, oh, I have to go talk to those people. And they back out. Um, I, I'm hopeful that this new process continues because it really has made a dramatic change in people being willing to go to the legislature.
Well, great. I'm glad to hear that you had that kind of conversation with the senators and that they are willing to make sure that any you know business that nobody wants heard in the street is taken care of behind the scenes and so forth. So that's really wonderful to know. And we hope that the listening audience will now feel more confident in volunteering for a board or commission here in the Virgin Islands. And so tell us about that now, David. How do you find people? How do you match people up? If somebody is interested in serving on a board, how do they approach?
Um, well, in multiple ways. One is that people can, first of all, volunteer. They can send us their resume or an email to Tiffany Grosvenor, Tiffany .Grosvenor, Grosvenor, at go.vi.gov to sort of introduce yourself and introduce the fact that you're interested, and also to make inquiry as to maybe you don't know which commission or board you want to be on, and so to find out what might be available. The other way is, of course, for somebody to nominate you, or to suggest to us, Miss So and So has expressed an interest in potentially being on the board, and then we do some reach out.
Mhm.
And then the third is people in government, the governor or the chief of staff or other people who have particular picks that they would like to put into positions. They can also come into the system. So it's multifaceted as well.
Great. AARP is a great proponent of civic participation and volunteerism. And so through this show, we hope to encourage people to step forth and to volunteer, especially if you know you have certain skills and you want to be more involved in the community, to get on some of these boards and commissions. And one thing I always say is that the people of the community, the people of the Virgin Islands need to participate more in the life of the community and in the governance of the community, right?
Yes,
Too often, people like to put people into office, elect people, and then sit back and look at them and judge and complain and gripe and throw stones and then vote them out of office the next time. But they're not participating in the life of the community. A lot of these people aren't.
right,
They aren't doing their part to make a difference. They aren't supporting their elected officials. We're all humans,
right,
right? We're all humans. We all have our shortcomings. Not any one of us is perfect, and we need each other to be successful. The
right.
governor needs all of us rallying behind of him. Each senator needs all of us rallying behind each one of them. So I really, really hope that people will seize this opportunity to get involved. Now, if you will, please highlight some of the opportunities available and benefits to serving on boards and commissions. So maybe you can just list off a few of the boards and commissions. So we hear some of the 68. You can just sort of like run through the list. You don't have to give a full description. You don't have to list all 68, but just let us know some of
No,
the
no, I
68.
couldn't possibly, not in the time we have.
Right. Right.
Um, I would like, before I run down the list, I would also like to say that in many cases, some of these boards, although they are geared specifically to a particular aspect of the community, like professional boards, um, but then you also have boards like the coastal zone management and things like that, where it's about us. It's about our quality of life. It's about your contributing back into the community, making making things for the better. And in many ways, giving you the opportunity to see multiple sides of issues. People come into these circumstances with their own point of view, but now they're exposed to hearing multiple other points of view of people who come before the commission. So a couple of commissions that I just pulled from the pack, where we have an interest in filling these as soon as possible, filling them out, would be the hospital boards for both Royal Leicester Schneider and 1F Louis Hospital, and the overall governing board of the Hospital Facilities Corp. There's an interesting little one. And this is terribly specialized. The fiber optic installers. And then the electricians. There is the Civil Rights Commission, the Board of Tax Review, which is really very important because that board is what reviews our property tax assessments, and is that appellate form of checks and balances on the property tax situations. Then there's the Optometric Board of Examiners, the Board of Land Use Appeals. Very often we hear about the coastal zone management or the building permits department, but what you don't know is that even after those decisions are made, they can be appealed, and those appeals go to the Board of Land Use Appeals.
Mm.
Um, then there is the General Construction Contractors Board, and the Historic Preservation Commission, particularly on St. Croix. We've done pretty well about the board for St. Thomas St. John, but we've had a very difficult time finding people for the board in St. Croix. And the Plumbers Board and Mechanical Licensing Contractors. And so that's just a broad sampling. Now, I also need to say this, that on many of these boards, you don't, all of the spots are not by the technical experts in these fields. In many of the boards, there is also a component for what is called the public representative.
Mhm.
And that is somebody who may have some understanding or interest in the subject of the board, but is not a plumber or a real estate agent or something like that. But it brings the involvement of the general public into the operation and functioning of the board. So it is not just all the professionals in that group. For instance, there's that kind of position, and then I believe on the nursing board, there's one on the real estate examiners board, and a couple of other boards like that. So it's not that you have to be necessarily in the profession of the board.
Mhm. Right. Excellent. And so recently, the lawmakers of the 34th legislature supported the enactment of Bill number 34-0062, which would require membership on boards and commissions to be gender balanced. How will this legislation affect the efforts of the division in filling vacant seats on boards and commissions? And this is of particular interest to me because I've served on a government board. I have observed other government boards, and I always thought they were pretty gender balanced. How did this legislation come about? Was there really an imbalance? And now, how are you working to live up to the mandates of this legislation?
Well, first, let me say that the number of vacancies that we are trying to fill is at least 120. Now, that are active of concern. I have always thought that the more important element is to get people who are willing, first of all, secondly, who fit the profile for the board, and then you can get into some of these other factors. And um, fortunately, this new provision speaks in terms of the governor using his best efforts to be gender balanced, and not that he must have one and one in every board and balance it out so that it's even. And I mean, the other thing is, most of these boards have an odd number of members, so you can't be precise. But gender is important, but it's only one of the factors that we look at. We also have to look at the other elements of capacity of the person's expertise and their interest. And there's also other element too that's important for people to know. Two elements. One is that we now have enacted a law with all boards and commissions can meet virtually. So you don't have to go to a meeting place to be on a board. It can be, the board meetings can be held virtually, as well as hearings, like for instance, coastal zone hearings. I think people have seen advertisements for their meetings to be by Zoom. The other element, which has really created a bit of a stir, a positive stir, is that we have authorized certain boards and commissions to have members, Virgin Islanders, who still have a firm root in the community, but who live stateside or anywhere else, to be appointed to commission seats, provided they attend virtually and they keep abreast of the subject matter of the commission. So this, we just recently we had a trip to Washington where we met the Virgin Islands Association there, and they were very excited about that possibility, whereby their members can continue to contribute to the community, although they are not living in the Virgin Islands.
That's really great. I'm very happy to hear both of those items because I remember when I was serving on a government board, that was a big issue all the time. We had one board member who spent a lot of time off island on the US mainland. And some of the other board members didn't think that this person should be allowed to vote and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm really happy to hear that has been changed because people do travel a lot. And some people just don't even want to come out of their home because of COVID. They may well be here on the island, or they may have some other kind of health impairment and they can't leave their home. So that's really wonderful. And regarding Virgin Islanders or people who still have a vested interest in the Virgin Islands living on the mainland, that's better yet because they get to bring a different perspective. I think it really helps us, right? It brings a different perspective to the discussions. And so it makes for a more robust discussion and better decision making, I believe.
And if I may make just two last points, Troy, a little bit of controversy, but it's always good to mix a little bit. One of the boards that we are going to need people to consider for wanting to go on will be the WAPA board. Unfortunately, the WAPA board composition is in court at the moment, so we can't say how many and what kind of backgrounds people need for the vacancies in that board. But if people start to think about if they would like to be in that, now I know that's a board with it's always a hot seat. So it's got to be somebody who doesn't mind that kind of thing. And the other thing is that we are working on a website access through the Government House website, where the boards and commissions will be listed with what vacancies each one of them has, and you can input your information in terms of wanting to be on a particular board, and it will come directly to us. So you don't have to guess. You don't have to call and could you give me the top 5 boards? You'll be able to see what the boards are, which boards have vacancies, what the requirements are for each of those commissions and boards, and also submit your information. As I say, the starting point is you have to upload your resume so that we know who you are.
Yep.
And then we will send a questionnaire that gives us a sufficient amount of background information about you.
That is fantastic news. That makes a lot of sense, and that I think will go a long way in helping you to fill a lot of these boards and commissions. That's really good news because all through the show I was thinking, again, it's so many. How do you really match people up? I don't want to push the envelope too much, but that there answers all the questions and concerns.
Right.
And talking about the questionnaire that you will send out, I remember when I was being considered for that particular government board, the questionnaire was so long. And I would say about at least 60% of the questions didn't even pertain to me or apply to that board or commission. Have you all worked on simplifying that questionnaire?
Well, we don't ask you anymore what you had for breakfast.
All right.
But the questions have been picked to be relevant, but also for you to express why it is that you are interested in this board and what would be your mission. So it I would not say that it goes into extraneous things, but it does get you to focus on telling us who you are, what you have done, what your education is, and of course, possible defects of issues in your history, so that we can assess whether those can be overlooked or corrected or whatever has to be done to get you on a board.
Great. And we just have a couple of minutes left, but that database that you were talking about, where you'll have all the boards and commissions and ability to apply and upload a resume and so forth, when will that go live? When do you anticipate that? And then where can that be found? Like, what would be the website?
It will be on the Government House website, vi.gov. Um, when it will go up live, I don't want to make a firm commitment, but we certainly hope within the next month or so. And we will make an announcement so people will know that it's live. And as you rightfully said, I think that'll be a game changer in terms of people getting information and also being able to send us the information about yourself.
Yeah, that's great news. So we hope that our listening audience will look out for that and take advantage of that database. And I assume that you will advertise it also when it goes live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and let us know too, because that's something we could certainly put on our Facebook page to let people know that they can look there. And we've been trying to get some of our AARP volunteers to get on some of these boards and commissions, so we'll continue trying to do that.
Great.
And we hope that they will look at this show and feel a little more confident and reassured in that process.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest problem for a lot of these people, and I'd like to assure the public that I think with the help of the current legislature, I think we have created a new atmosphere for the nominees.
That's fantastic. Fantastic news. So, any other information as to where our audience could go to find information on boards and commissions at this present juncture? And what's that web address again for Government House?
vi.gov. Gov.
vi.gov. Okay. vi.gov.
Correct.
That's it. Okay, perfect. So, well, thank you so much, David Bornn, Attorney David Bornn. Thank you for being with us today and sharing this important information.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the subscribers. I hope that this will propel them on to wanting to come out and volunteer.
Great. Have a great day.
Same to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.